Are we going? I think we're going. Oh, it says we're going. Can you hear me?
Are we going?
Well, you can hear my phone, so I guess we're going. There you go. Excellent. Kind of surprise after hours because I've been promising I was going to do this for a while. And here we are. Not a whole lot to do. I wanted to make sure that I remember and write down my setup for my B64D from this last weekend because it was probably the best I've ever, best car I've had in a long, long time. And I wanted to not forget, not screw up. So going to be looking at that. I think I remember everything, but the way that I am, I tend to forget stuff, important stuff. So maybe we can document that together tonight, and then wanted to talk about my drag racing experience from last week and how it's kind of maybe lit a small fire under my belly because I want to go out there and do better. I want to finish better. So have some ideas there. So yeah. So join the chat as you come in, um, and you got me for about an hour. Then I'm gonna get any longer than that, I'll get yelled at by my significant other for shutting off the air conditioner because it makes too much noise. So there you go. The main thing I wanted to do was I don't really need to like write down everything, but I've had some folks ask like uh, you know what my setup is and everything, and there's not much to it other than some changes, some stuff that doesn't normally get ran. For instance, I'm actually running my rear shocks all the way in on the tower, and I started doing that about 2 weeks ago, and I really liked that a lot. Actually, it got through the sweeper at the end of our straightaway better, and it's kind of bumpy too at the end of our straight, just because it's just the way our dirt works, I guess. Um, and then I ended up. So I had been running the 73 millimeter arms for a long, long time, pretty much always, and Will had kept telling me to put the 75s on. And so after the last club race before the summer series, I put the 75 arms on, and that kind of changes it. So when you have the 73s, you can run the wide pivot and back, and with the 75s, you run the inner pivot. You can still run a wide pivot. It's not normally what those guys do. Um, so I started pill wise with um, one uh, one down and out, and one down and out in the back, which should have given you 3 degrees of toe and 1 degree of anti squat, and with the wide pivot with the old arms, and um, with the 75 arms, I put one down and in the front and one down and in the back, and it was okay. And then I put point 0.5 in the front and point 0.5 in the back, and it was better. So that's kind of where I landed. And then um, I did want to. What did I do? I No, I didn't change that, did I? You know what? I can't see, so I'm gonna get out my light here to make sure I'm right. Yep, point 0.5 in, just to make sure I didn't change anything. See, I got to make sure I remember what I'm doing all the time. And there you go. So yeah, that's where I ended up pill wise. And then Will had a suggestion because I was complaining about how the car was good, right? But it felt like as I was making the corners on our track, because the HobbyPlex track, if you go watch, if you this is your first time watching, I'm the manager race director at the Hobbytown HobbyPlex in Omaha, Nebraska. I build the track, I maintain the track, I try to do all that, run the races, and I try to race. Usually it works out. You know, sometimes if something drastic has changed, you know, I can kind of suffer a little bit trying to keep up with everybody. That's why I always try to get in practice on the like on a summer series day. We have practice on Friday, so I really try to focus as much as I can on running on Friday. Try to take some entries, take a break if I need to go back and break in some tires and stuff. We'll talk about tires too. You know, I'll do that. But I knew I had a good car on Friday, right at the end of the night, and it didn't really because we're blowing the track off in between every run because we invested about $1,400 in a bunch of new blowers, and we have extra batteries and stuff. So the track's really consistent. We're all running slicks. Most of us are running slicks. Still haven't convinced some of you yet to go all in on the slick thing, but most of us are running slicks. So I don't know. I just kind of felt like everything was going to go good. But one thing that I was complaining about, to get back to my point, was like the rear end was trailing the front end too long, is what it felt like. Like the rear end was sagging, and it just felt like a delay almost. And so Will, HobbyPlex Show podcast co-host, suggested that I take the spacer out of the rear wing. So I've almost always have ran my wings like all the way back. In fact, see if I have an example here. Nope, because that's not my car. Oh, shoot. Well, anyways, even in my Losi days, like this is a 2.0, right? The rear motor. Even in my Losi days, how it had the dimples, the wings always had the dimples. You know, you had a front dimple and a rear dimple. I would always run that thing all the way back. And it's just a habit. And so, that's what I did with my associated car here. And Will's like, take that off and move it all the way forward. I did that, and just that difference is about this big. What is that, about what? 6-7 millimeters? Just doing that, it got rid of that sag. It actually improved the car by quite a bit. It made it more stable pretty much everywhere. That, and then the 7-inch wing. I was running a 7-inch wing at the end of last year, and of course I go through wings a lot because I crash a lot. Maybe I don't really crash that much. What am I saying? Anyways, so I broke a 7-inch wing. I had a 6.5 on there, and then I put the 7 wing back on there. And let me tell you, I will probably never not run a 7-inch wing ever again. So, yeah, so I wanted to make sure that I remember what I was doing here. Another change that I made this weekend that I really liked, and what I had been running last year's car was blue front springs. I think at Hobby Action and at Hoosier RC, I actually dropped down to grays in the front and grays in the back for springs. And when I put the blues on in the front again, it like balanced out the car, having a heavier spring, a little bit heavier spring in the front. So just overall stuff that I didn't want to forget. And then the other thing that I wanted to mention before I get before I start taking the shocks apart is the tires. Now that we're all running slicks, we have to be careful. We have to know when not to run your tires. So like slicks are nice because you don't have to grind anything, especially if you get Smoothie 2s from J Concepts or Bald Eagles from Proline or even AKA slicks. You know, you really don't have to do much to them. The break-ins pretty much sauce and go run at our track, right? Res. In the old days, I say the old days, I mean last year, you know, we were all running golds. We were all running gold ellipses, and you had to like either burn them in with a rag or a heat gun and heat cycle them a couple times to get them broken down a little bit. Well, now you don't really have to do that. I will say that the main thing that I noticed between this week's Summer Series race and even just the previous week was the previous week when you're driving around the track, you can hear the tires go slap, 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 slap. And when you really yank the throttle and you hear that, part of it's good, right? Because you have traction. So your tires are grabbing and they're stretching, and that stretch is that slap. That's where that's coming from. But I will say that these tires that I have on right now, the rears especially, the main was the third run. So the rears were brand new on Friday night. I ran them once. I ran older tires in the first qualifier. I did okay. But I ran these tires in the second qualifier and I did way better. And these tires that are on there right now, as of this moment, they don't really make that slappy sound. So we had it's weird because the fronts don't have the inserts in them on these tires. I was running fronts that did have the J Concepts sidewall inserts in there, and I like those a lot, but these I had glued up at Hobby Action. I never used them, so I glued the sidewalls, and that's very important too. I think if you're running a dirt car on a slick track and there's lots and lots of grip, a lot of new people will overlook gluing the sidewalls all the way around on the front tire. So if you guys can see that, try to get it in the light for you. Okay. So gluing the sidewalls makes you basically, if everything's working right, it won't make it push, but it will let your tires sort of skip over some of the nasty high traction ruts that might exist out there. And we're on a 10 scale track, when we call a rut, we mean like a slice of the track or something like that, right? So it's basically letting that tire, as it's leaning over on itself, it's letting it slide, but you're still having traction on the top, right? Like contact patch. So very important thing to do. We don't really do it on the back, although I will say that one year Will told me I should do it in the back. Like he was like making fun of me, and I did it and I actually liked it. So I would say it's not out of the realm of possibilities. Like if it's crazy super high bite and your traction rolling everywhere, gluing your sidewalls and your fronts especially, but even in your backs, it might be something to look at. But traditionally we just do it in the fronts. Okay. Anyways, so the fronts, they're not blown out yet at all. And do I have a set of tires? Oh, I do have a set of tires here. Okay. So this is a set of blown out tires. So you can just see, I mean, I can see right away how they're kind of like, even the carcass is a little bumpy, right? They've got a pretty big air gap, and you can also kind of take your fingers and you can pull it. And this isn't even that bad. Like I've ran tires during club racing that you can like literally just peel apart. These tires would definitely be slappy out there, right? As opposed to this tire that's on my car right now. So these I'm probably going to save for the next summer series around, but they're barely, I mean, you can barely grab anything on them right now. So, how do tires get like that? Well, obviously, a lot of runs on them, they're going to get worse because the track itself is yanking on that tire and stretching it, pulling it. You can over sauce your tires. So, what I've been trying to do is keep track of where my races are at. So, I think the summer series race, we had 20 heats, and my two-wheel drive was in like race 11, and my four-wheel drive was race 13. So I didn't sauce my tires until for two-wheel drive until the end of race number 8. So race number 8 would come up, and I'd run out of the booth. I'd go grab my cars, bring them over to the tech area because I had to charge batteries in between too. I'd slather TDK tire sauce, still my sauce of choice right now, and so maybe 10 to 12 minutes because we were rocking pretty good. So 5 minutes of heat, 2 minutes in between each heat. Okay, maybe like 15 minutes, and that might have even been too much. But by the time I would go out to the tech area, the tires had already kind of the tire sauce had already sort of gone away, except for the very bottom where it was pulled up. And then to make sure that dirt didn't stick to the tires right away when you went out for your warm up lap, I took a rag and I just rubbed them and got them sort of wet again. Then you set your car down, you take off, they break in a little bit, and you're on your way. So I was trying to sauce my tires for maybe 15 minutes tops. So if I was in race 13 with my four-wheel drive, as I'm getting my two-wheel drive to go out and run, that's when I slathered tire sauce on my four-wheel drive. And it seemed like that pattern so far has made it so the tires are lasting a little bit longer before they get like this, where they're real stretched out. So a non-slappy tire is going to be more consistent, and it should be a lot faster because a slappy tire is almost like too much traction, so your corner speed is going to be worse. You're going to be more prone to traction rolling. It's going to be inconsistent because you could come around a corner and the tire could be so grabby that like the inside tire might grab too much and the outside might miss, whereas tires that aren't so ballooned out, you can just sort of skim through that corner, right? So this is the first time at the home track at the HobbyPlex where I think new tires actually worked pretty good. So again, last year when we were on golds, when most of us were still running treads or really low treads and stuff, new tires definitely were not a good idea. But this is 2 races. I did it at the Pro Tech race too, where I bolted on a set of brand new tires, and I went out there, and I kid you not, they were really, really, really good. And I think they'll stay that way until you start to hear the slap, 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 slap. So I know some of you don't want to hear that because you're trying to make your tires last. I will say stock buggies probably tires will last longer than mod buggies. That should be a given, just because the mod cars are ripping, literally ripping so much. Where stock buggies don't quite have that, right? But just be aware if you're struggling, if you're struggling out there, or if you're at a different track where you get that tire slap noise, and everybody's got it, and you're struggling trying to get your car to handle right, maybe just bolting on a brand new set of tires and going out there might change your mind. And I would definitely say, at least at our place, not a good idea to let tire sauce coat your tires for long periods of time. You definitely don't need to do the bag thing. You definitely don't want to heat up silvers with a heat gun or anything like that. Anything that we were doing last year, I think now that we're on slicks, I think it's just not necessary. It's a lot easier, to be honest with you. You just bolt on stuff and go. So that was a long spiel. That was like 20 minutes. I'm sorry, but I just had a lot to say about that. So, um, just tires again. It's been a while since we've been here, but tires are probably 80 to 90% of your setup. The rest of it's just personal preference on how you like your car to react and corner and jump. You know, I learned something last week I thought was really funny. So I put my pills in upside down, and when I put my arms on, my 75 arms on, after the club race before so it had been 3 weeks ago, and I put my pills in upside down. So instead of having 1 degree of anti squat and 3 degrees of toe, I had 3 degrees of toe, but I had 1 degree of pro squat. So instead of my arms leaning back a little bit, they're actually leaning forward. And even though it was a mistake, I learned a lot because I went out there and I'm like, holy crap! Like this car's on rails, but it doesn't jump worth a crap. So we have this really difficult section that mostly mod two-wheel drives can do, where if you're trying to hug this pipe as tight as you can and make this little triple that skims across the top, and it's little. It's the triple's probably probably 8 feet, if that, and stock guys can't do it unless they go way wide. 13.5 four-wheel drive guys can't do it unless they go really wide. Really, the only ones you see actually triple it in the groove is going to be two-wheel mod, four-wheel mod, and maybe mini truggy. And normally I could hit it. Well, with the pro squat, couldn't hit it at all because the car with basically the less anti squat you have, I think traditionally the the shorter it kind of jumps and you can't get the takeoff quite as much. Um, so when I changed it back for on that Friday, this last Friday, and I put the pills in the right spot, and I went out there. Sure enough, you can come around the corner, and I could get the launch to make that triple every single time. So I learned something. So if you're ever at a track where to take that, like if you're ever at a dirt track, you're running slicks, and there aren't any real jumps to worry about, it could be something where you have maybe zero anti squat, or even pro squat might be something to try because it sure was a rocket ship in a straight line for sure. It actually cornered okay. It just couldn't jump very good. So I found that very interesting. And then the other point of that is, let's say you've got a track with some pretty big jumps that are maybe a little far, and you're trying to stretch it out to make it. Maybe add a degree of anti squat. Give it a try. So what do we got? We got looks like there's 10 people on right now. That's pretty cool. Couple of message retracted. I don't know what that means. Mark Schmidt's on here. Bender's on here. In two-wheel drive, what are you doing for pills? We went over that. Travis Clancy was on here. Smoking Rat's on here. Bill's here. I sit waiting to get a notification of you going live, and I don't see it for 5 minutes. Yeah, it's YouTube. Jackson Anderson ran the Longhorn Challenge. Is that what that is? I can't remember. Longhorn something something. I've always wanted to go to that race. It's just that the Plexus schedule is so different. We're not really into 8 scale this time of year. So, and you know what? Funny story. So, way back in the first of the year, Roar, okay, radio operated auto racers. It's basically like, if you don't know what that is, if you're new to the RC scene or whatever, Roar is essentially a version of NASCAR for RC cars, right? They've got rules. They hold national events. It's the only way you can qualify to get in the Worlds. Okay, the Worlds happen every 2 years. They rotate from blocks. So Roar is North America. Then you've got Famar, which is, I believe, South America. FEMCA, which is, I believe it's the Asian countries, and Australia. and then I'm blanking on the European one right now, and I don't know why. EFRA. There you go, EFRA. EFRA is Europe. There's probably, I think there's one more. Anyways, it doesn't really matter. Um, but they rotate, and this is our year for 10 scale off road. Okay, so normally Roar gets 30 slots to fill. So if you're racing two wheel drive at the mod nats in the mod class of the nationals, and you finish in the C main, congratulations, you're qualified for the worlds. Normally, when the worlds are across, like they because of COVID, they didn't have it for 2 years. So this will be the first 10 scale worlds um, since they were in Hudi Arena in Slovakia. Yeah, and God, that was a long time ago. Feels like a long time ago. So it would have been 2019, I think, right? So normally, Roar usually can't fill up all 30 when they're across the pond somewhere, right? Because not everybody can travel and be gone for 10 days, 9 days. Um, so uh, it's pretty easy to get in as an alternate when it's not in the U.S. Okay, that's what I'm trying to say. So when it's our turn, we actually get more spaces. So you get top 30, and then I think there's another 30 that we get. So there's 60, and then everybody else gets their 30 if they can fill it up. If they can't fill up everything, then Roar actually could get even more spots. So they made a call for alternates. You're supposed to send in kind of like a race resume and something written out. To be honest with you, I haven't done that in so long because I haven't needed to. Right when I was a Losi sponsor driver, that happened in 2006. Before that, I probably wrote out something for Team Associated in 2004. Right, so that was almost 20 years ago. So I had to write out this race resume. It occurred to me I hadn't actually been to a Roar National since 2016, and I keep forgetting that it's 2020 something. So it actually felt like a super long time. Um, but anyways, so I sent it in. And I thought, well, how many people say they were going to do it and then they don't actually do it? So maybe there's a possibility I can get in. So then Roar had a press release saying that their alternates would be contacted this week, blah, blah, blah. I started to see all these people on Facebook get their email saying they're getting to go, blah, blah, blah. No email. So I'm thinking, okay, fine. I was going to go to the Worlds for a few days to report on it for YouTube, for you guys, actually. Anyways, um, but not for the full 9 days because that's a long time to be away from your job, from your family, and you got to pay for all that, right? So, so apparently, so what happens is these people get this, hey, you got into the Worlds. Well, not every one of those is actually going to go. They're going to be like, oh crap, and they start to do the math and like, I can't afford that. Can't get the time off work. Can't get the time off away from school because it is in September. And so then more alternates started to get called up, and wouldn't you know it, I got an email saying, hey, congratulations, you're in. Give us $500 for the entry fee. So um, out of everything that I've ever done with RC, I've been to nationals many times. I've been to regionals, Roar regionals, forever, probably every year for a while there from 1996 all the way till Chillicothe kind of shut down. I think 2008 maybe, something like that. So really long time. Used to go to regionals every single year. I've been to the Nats in 1996, 1998, 1999, 2003 at the Tilt Yard, um, and then got into 8 scale pretty heavily. So I've been to the 8 scale Nats 2005, 2010, 2011, whatever year that was. It was in Harlingen, Texas. And then of course the 10 scale Nats here in '09. Um, and then again in 2016. So I've been to all these I've been to nationals a lot, not lately, but enough. And the Worlds is one thing I've never competed in. So once I got that email, I'm like, well, I can't not go, right? I could just race one class, but for $50 more, you get to race two classes. You're just there for an extra 4 days. Um, so yeah, so this guy gets to go to the Worlds, and kind of forgot where I was going with that, but I don't know. There's a mindset that I got to get into too, where I'm not going to make any assumptions. I don't plan on, obviously. How do I put this? Uh, I know reality that probably be extremely difficult for me to just make the top 50, right? But the competitor in me thinks that I could probably make top 30 if I drive good and don't let myself get mentally psyched out and remember that I'm having fun. Um, it is going to be a long time. I am going to miss my family because I'm going there basically by myself. So, um, that might be a struggle too. But I will be surrounded by a whole bunch of people that I know, and it should be a lot of fun in the pits. And because it's only limited to 150 racers, it shouldn't take that long to get through the day. So you're going to be able to kind of go out and rest a little bit. I went to the Worlds in China in 2016 as U.S. team manager when I was a member of Roar when I was on the XCOM. And so I have been to Worlds before, I just haven't competed in it. So it's something new, something that I've never done before. It's going to be the check mark, been to Worlds. That's checked off. And yeah, it's going to be pretty crazy. So I don't know where I was going with that either. It's late. I've actually been up since 8 a.m. this morning because I went fishing this morning. For some reason, I decided to wake up and fish in the morning, which I'm not a morning person, so I am a little tired right now. I knew I had something where I was going with that, but now I can't remember. But it doesn't matter because I just wanted to tell you guys out there in HobbyPlex show world what's going on, and yeah. Also, before I get some more comments, I'm really sorry that I feel like I don't know if I necessarily been neglecting the channel as much as um, this spring has been pretty hectic. We had the ProTech race. Um, I'm pretty happy that we're able to do the live streams now. Um, I'm hoping that a lot of you guys aren't like, oh God, this is just a live stream channel, now for racing, because that's not really what I wanted to do. But it is nice if you have a good or bad race, you can sort of like um, you can kind of go back and watch it and maybe see what you did wrong or see what happened, which is kind of nice. It's pretty cool. Um, but we had the ProTech race, and then um, I wanted to try to get in an after-hour show sometime in between there. And a couple weeks ago, I got really sick. I got like a really really bad cold. I think it wasn't COVID, so that was good. Um, just knocked me out for like a week, and I still had a cough up until about maybe last week. So, and then of course the Hobbytown La Vista store is getting moved. I feel really bad. I haven't really had a part in it too much because the week that they were doing the move is when I got sick, and after that, you know, uh, our crew is pretty much taking care of it. Um, so there's that. I feel like we should be really busy with that, but we haven't been. So um, the Plex is just sort of maintaining itself, and then we had the Summer Series race coming up, and I wanted to make sure everything was good for that. We had what did I do that was different? Oh, I had a new monitor in my room that I had to hook up. So, so my booth is here, and I thought it'd be a good idea to have a monitor put up outside of my booth. So instead of announcing and always looking back at the computer and missing the action as it's happening, I had an idea. Well, why don't I put a monitor with a swivel outside the booth, so as I can just be here and I can just look up and I can still see stuff. And for the most part, that kind of worked. But it became apparent like Friday nights when I'm trying to enter people into the computer that doing this sucks. Like it's like I can't see and it's far away and everything like that. So I got another monitor and I hooked it up and I got the thing where they're basically mirrored, which is really nice. And I was pretty happy that that actually worked and all the other stuff. So all right, sorry. There was something I was going with that Ifmar World thing, but whatever. It doesn't really matter. We got. Let's scroll up here. We got some comments. Bill says he tried running his gold ellipses at practice for the summer series, but he realized pretty quick that they weren't good for lap times. It's crazy because last year we were on golds all the time. I will say, so I got my mini truggy, right? So my mini truggy on golds is easier to drive and maybe even a little bit faster than my silver ellipses that I've turned into like ghosted slicks. Just because you can kind of pitch it a little bit and slide it through the corners instead of having it grab so much with the mini truggy. But everything else, for sure. Mark Schmidt says, thanks for the comments on how his buggy looked. You did look good. I don't know what you did, but it worked. You got the bump, and then you almost bumped again. Chris Hardison, we haven't chatted or anything like that in a long time. He's down there in Tulsa, I believe. Super Chips this weekend. Can't wait. I took down a race this weekend in Pro Street. No prep. Yeah, I want to talk about drag racing a little bit. So up here in Omaha, we have various groups, right? So we've got the 5-star guys, and they've got their setup, and it's made for my DR10M and their 5-star breakout, I think is what you call it. And it's an awesome surface. I'm actually getting geared up. June 4th, they're having their next one, and I got that Sunday off so I can go drag race. I don't expect to do very well, but at least I'm going to be there and be able to run my DR10M some more. Because obviously I made a video last Wednesday. I was at this new place. They've been running organized drag races for ever since like the middle of last summer, I think is when they started. And it's a totally different ball game. So it's a street. It's actually way smoother than what people were telling me. People were telling me it's like bumpy and gravelly and all this other stuff. It's not. It's actually pretty darn smooth, and it's pretty clear of anything. So obviously they use it a lot. They know what they're doing. But I took my drag car out there, and I thought I was going to do better than what I ended up doing, but the car kind of got away from me, and it kept getting away from me, and it kept getting worse. So now I'm like determined, dude, to I'm gonna make this thing. This is Emerson's 22S. We're gonna make this a street machine. So I was gonna sell this. I actually had it for sale, and I we might not get to my buggy tonight. I don't know. We're just talking. But the last time Emerson ran this, he did really good with it, and it was pretty awesome. I feel like for that style of racing, I needed a heavier car, and they're also allowing 3-cell, so it's not the strict, outlaw rules or anything. It's 2 or 3-cell 2-wheel drive only. So, so I have for this thing. Here's my thought. So I've got I got my Mamba X that I've had for a pretty long time. I never used it in anything, so I think we're gonna stick it on here, and then I've got just a good old Traxxas Valenion motor. I think we're just gonna hook this up in the back. And the reason why I'm thinking Valenion is because it's only a 3500 kV motor. You pair that with a 3-cell, and I'm going to use a full-size 3-cell, okay? And this is all stuff I have, by the way. So any of you guys that went into the rally, or like Mark Schmidt, who just super chatted $20, I appreciate it a lot. So I'm not spending your money on any of this. I just want to make that very clear. This is stuff I already have. So anyways, the only thing I think I do need to get is a body, another body for this thing. And I think I'm going to get another body for that too, because I noticed when I was driving home, like one of the things I'm thinking is like maybe the front tires are rubbing on the body. Not maybe, they are, because you can see the paint getting scraped off. So I'm going to get a different body. I think I'm going to get the J Concepts Mustang. I think that's what I'm going to do. So anyways, so we're going to put this in there, and yeah, dude, I'm getting pretty stoked. Because I want to go back there and do better, because man, I hate losing. And like I said in the video, I said this in the video, I don't even mind losing. I just want it to be a race. I want to go straight and race the other guy. I don't want to go straight half the way and then have it all go off the rails literally and crash and break my shit and stuff like that. So that's the plan, dude. I'm really looking forward to being able to get back out there. The crappy thing is I work Wednesdays now until 8, so I was getting off on Wednesdays at like 5 or 6, and some personnel changes happened because of the new store as well. So now I work till 8, and they start drag racing at 7. So that kind of sucks. But once we get somebody else to come back in, I think once one of our guys is done with his real job that he's getting overtime with, he'll be back on Wednesdays, and I can go play. So so yeah. So I don't know. So there it is. So that's what I'm thinking. Valenion 3-cell, Mamba X, maybe a new body. Not maybe. We are going to get a new body. So I wasn't going to actually do anything tonight with this, but I did want to talk about it because it is pretty cool. And it's pretty cool in our area too, because there's another group of guys, it's probably the same group of guys that go to Later Days customs, but there's another group of guys that they just set up in like a parking lot. Actually, I think they've done it in like Tranquility Park, which is like 5 minutes away from here. But they meet up and stuff and do legit, street grudge racing, basically, in various spots. We see them come in a lot. There's a group of brothers. Actually, there's like a whole family that they've been drag racing each other for like 3 years now, maybe longer. God, it feels like a long time. But anyways, it's super cool. It's kind of a neat thing, and I want to go back. It's gonna be fun. It's gonna be really good. So, I'm gonna be doing some sort of like redemption video when the time comes, or it might not be a redemption video. It might just be a hey, I still suck at drag racing video. But either way, we're gonna do some more this summer. I'm definitely doing a video when I go to 5-star in 2 weeks, so look out for that too. What else we got? Let's get caught up here. Another thing too, Chris, did the race that was in Topeka, did that get moved to Ottawa here in Iowa? Do you know about that? Because they just announced a I think that's Redemption, and it's the same weekend as what would have been the Topeka drag race thing that they were doing. Is that the same thing? I'm a little ignorant about the whole subject, so I'm curious if anybody else knows um, about that. It's cool because it's close, right? Unfortunately, I can't go because I'll be at Worlds. But yeah, so Chris just sent me pictures of his latest drag cars. I like the Supra. I'd run the Supra, but I'm trying to do better about staying true to J Concepts since they're my only real sponsor I have in my real life racing and stuff. Daniel Bender says, super excited for round 2 of the summer series. Are we planning on blowing the track off every run and rotate blowers during club racing? That is the plan. I was thinking about if we're gonna do it on Fridays or not. I'm My thing about Fridays is that it's a lot of Plex spec racers, and A, they might not get it. And B, I'm not saying they're stupid. I'm just saying that they're new, and you know, do I want to confuse anybody even more than we already do? But also, like they a lot of Plexers might go and break my blowers, you know. So like because they're so, I mean, they're offline, but Plexers often don't necessarily stay in the line. They're way over here anyway. So I'm not sure if Friday nights we're gonna do it or not. Maybe we're definitely gonna blow the track off Friday, but maybe Fridays we might not. But Saturdays we definitely will. Absolutely will. Yep, that's why we got them. I want us to get as much practice in for these big races as we can. And to be honest with you, as long as we keep using the blowers, I doubt the track's going to be much different come J Concepts race. I think that level of traction that we had will be there and will stay there for longer. So, Hootie and the Blowfish. That's pretty funny. Jackson says he's excited for INS this summer, planning on coming. Just can't make up my mind on what classes to race, mod or stock. Hardison says we run real street 2-pole dry tire, no bar, real street 2-pole prepped, blues bar allowed, and then full outlaw. Yeah, so the later days place, their tree doesn't really catch red lines either, so they video it. And then they go back and they see if you took off early or not. It's interesting. I will say the drag race setup at 5-star where you know if you red lighted or not, I do like that a little bit better. But it doesn't matter. It's all the same for everybody. Jackson says there's a new track opening in Dallas area, 20 minutes instead of the 45 minutes to Indy RC for him. There was a big Facebook meltdown over Indy and how they treat workers, which resulted into a new track opening. Yeah, that can happen. I noticed that on that Facebook meme page that sometimes I don't necessarily like. I think some of it can be pretty harsh, but I did notice it and I was like, wow. Like if a place is aggro enough to get a nationally, like, a page that normally follows like pro drivers and national events and stuff to make fun of, like, that's pretty brutal. So your camera for the live stream looks real high definition. You know what? It's who gave me those? Ben. Um, we had two of them, two live stream cameras, and one of them I was going to give to Will for the podcast, and I still haven't remembered to give it to him. And then the other one, yeah, I hooked it up. I thought it looked really good. It looked way better than the original one. So the original live stream camera we had, I actually took to Need for Speed RC when I went to run their oval race for him, and I accidentally left it there. But then I was like, well, that's okay, because it was always fuzzy. I don't know if it was like maybe got scratched or something like that. But yeah, we ended up getting a new one because Ben Dinger, he's one of our Patreon members actually. Um, he uh, he had like a stockpile of them because he's like a IT guy, and I don't know, that was pretty cool. It works really good, so I'm really happy with that. I think we've got our at the moment, knock on wood or whatever you want to call it, but the system we have at the Plex right now works really good. We've got live stream. We've got two computers, one for the race vision and one for the live stream program. That's the only thing that it's running on is that. And then I've got a big screen TV out, so when the guys come down off the driver stand, they can see the results. I think we started doing that at the J Concepts race last year, and haven't broken that TV yet, so that's nice. Um, then we've got my booth's pretty good. We got a brand new computer, and it's one of those Ben again coming through in the clutch. It's one of those little ones that like the banks have to recycle every couple years, so it's pretty fast. Um, I just think that at the moment, when everything works like it's supposed to, we got good things going on at the Plex. The sound is really good. Jackson, when you come up, you're gonna be like, whoa, this sounds really good because we've got a new powered mixer in the carpet control booth, and then I've got my own mixer, my own personal mixer that I have, and I've got a couple new speakers out on the dirt, so everything sounds really good. A lot of times I have to turn it down, so I think that's pretty rad. So, anyways, so yeah, when you come up, you're gonna be like, wow, this place is awesome. I hope, anyways. Um, uh, the J Concepts must. Bill said Smoking Rat says the J Concepts Mustang body's pretty sweet looking. Yeah, so most of you guys know if you follow the channel that I'm not a car person very much. Like if it's not an RC car, I don't really give a crap. Uh, that being said, there's a reason why I drive a Nissan. It's from the '80s, and because I always wanted a Nissan. I always wanted a Roger Mears um, Nissan, whatever. That's why I've got the King Cab up there. Um, so, is it Rick? It's not Rick Mears. It's Roger Mears. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Anyways, um, but I will say I'm not a huge fan of Mustangs. I don't know why, but if I had to choose, I would much rather put like an older style body on there, but I want something sort of aerodynamic at the same time. I don't know. I don't know how to go with the drag racing thing because I don't. A new body comes out, and I'm like, oh, that's pretty cool, but part of me is like, I don't really care what kind of car it is. It's terrible. Blah, blah, blah. Chris doesn't know. That's fine. I was curious if somebody knew what was going on. Maybe I'll find out on the 4th. I'll ask. Um, maybe it's different. Maybe it's totally different. I don't know. Jackson says he got a decent finish at Lone Star. Final got a race where I finished decent since I moved back, or moved basically. It's been a rough year. So Jackson Anderson used to be a local, and he moved to Texas. He moved to Dallas area, and he's been racing off and on down there at NDRC, and I think at A1's the practice track, right, where Wiggins and stuff goes. So I know he's been to Austin a few times now too at Thornhill. I've always wanted to go to Thornhill, and again, it's the 8 scale thing. Oh, that's where I was going with the 8 scale thing. My God, I'm talking everybody's ear off. But okay. Anyways, all right, all right. So here's the deal. So I get chosen to go to Worlds, okay, and I'm like, shit. Where's that money going to come from? Because I once the first batch of emails went around, I kind of had in my head I'm not going to go, so I bought like a whole bunch of fishing gear, And then I was gonna buy the Agama N1 electric 8 scale buggy, and I was gonna have that for this winter because I think that that's such a cool looking car. It's got the inboard shocks on it, and it's so different that I kind of wanted one, right? Because I'm not sponsored by anybody. I can do whatever the hell I want to. So that's what I was gonna do. But now, because I have to save like $3,000 or more to go to the Worlds that I didn't plan on having or spending or saving for that matter, now I'm not gonna get one. So I'm kind of bummed out about that. But who knows? Maybe I'll still find a way to make it work. It is a car I would like to have, though. I will say, even if I don't, it's kind of like one of these, like even if I don't race it, like, well, of course I'm gonna race it, but it'd be one of those where it'd be just cool to have because you never know. They might go back to a traditional style. I don't know. The car looks like it works really good. So yeah, that's actually where I was going with the Worlds thing, and I totally blanked until you talked about where you're at. Um, yeah, I need a better supply of double A's. The double A's going bad in the microphone always happens at the worst time. It's pretty crappy. Um, Hardison says his first truck was his mom's '89 Nissan hardbody pickup. He's owned two. He's owned a '92 Pathfinder. That's pretty awesome because that's when Pathfinders actually look like Pathfinders. I hate the new Pathfinder. I look at that. I'm like, well, that's not a Pathfinder. Like, whatever. Um, the Xterra was freaking rad, dude. Like, back in when did I buy my Element? 2008. So I was driving around a Honda Element. I missed that thing. I wish I could have. I wish there was a way I could have kept it and still gotten my first Nissan truck too at the same time. But oh well. I do miss my Honda Element. Anyways, I was actually trying to decide if I wanted to go the Xterra route instead of the Element, but whatever. His no prep car is the GTR imports all the way. That's sweet. Yeah, J Concepts doesn't really have much as far as the non-American cars. You know, the Camaro's pretty cool looking. I'm I just I don't know. I think I just feel like the Mustang is the sleekest look on there. And then I am getting a Exotech um, wheelie bar for that thing, so I think it'll look pretty sweet coming out of the back. Um, Jackson says a Gamma car looked really fast and handled decent. Um, I got to tell you, when I decided to go privateer in 2017, it was actually that winter when I was like, I'm kind of done being sponsored guy. I'm 40 years old. I want to do more of the YouTube stuff. I don't have to be beholden really to any car company. If I feel like something's crap, I want to be able to say it's crap. If or if I just don't like something, I want to be able to say I don't like it without worrying about any sort of um, uh, repercussions, I guess, right? Um, so I drove a Hot Bodies 8 scale, a Mugen 8 scale, a Techno, an Associated, and a Gamma. In practice, I was just going around, hey, can I drive your car? Can I drive your car? And the best lap times that I had was from the Gamma buggy, and that was 5 years ago. And I was like, oh man, am I gonna have to get in a Gamma? And not to diss a Gamma, it's just in my mindset, I was like, huh, who would have thought that my fastest lap times were within a Gamma? Um, I ended up going with Mugen, just because way back in 2005, I had a Mugen. And then in 2006, you're sponsored by TLR. TLR has the 8. you run that car up until 2017. So that's kind of why I decided to go back to the Mugen, and I love that car. The Mugen MBX8's awesome. But yeah, the new Agamo car is pretty sexy, I gotta say, and it's something that I would like to get my hands on. I would like to race, but we got to see. We got to see how I can pull spending 9 days in a hotel, 9 days eating out, probably $600 in tires. Depending on if I drive, $400 or $500 in gas. We got to see if I can pull all that out of my butt. So, because the money that I would pull out of my butt for that was going to go into an 8 scale for the wintertime. So, anyways. Well, crap, we didn't get anything accomplished, did we? We just talked about my car, which is great because I can go back. If I forget what I have in this car, I can go back and I can watch this myself and go, oh, yeah, that's right, I have that on there. So, going back to this car real quick, Daniel had asked about the pills, so we went over the pills. Um, uh, Another thing that I did that might be a little different from what other guys might be doing out there that I found worked for me, and I just got to make sure I'm remembering correctly. Yeah. So I've got diff height spacers, right? I've got the 2s for diff height, and I put the 1s on my hub carriers. So instead of having 2 and 2, I'm at 2 and 1. And when I did that, it also helped sort of kind of keep the rear end the way I like it, which is really flat. Without, I felt like I was less likely to traction roll. That's the only reason why I stuck with that, because when I changed to that, it stopped feeling like it was going to flip over at the end of the straightaway. So that's another thing that's a little different. So shocks all the way in the back. They're also all the way in on the arm. I got 32 weight with gray springs and 1/8 pistons with a 1 millimeter hole, the bypass hole in the back, and I'm running 32 weight with 1/6 1/7s with a 1 millimeter hole in the front for the bypass spring with blue springs in the front, and I'm all the way out on the tower, and I'm all the way out in the arm. I think the front end is actually stock. So I've got some spaced 2 millimeter on top for the spindle height. And I've got the original aluminum bulkhead from the B6-3 in the front. That's something that Will told me to try last year, and I liked it. So the car doesn't really have any bump steer. So that was my biggest complaint about the B3, was it always felt like the angle was always changing through the corner because it had bump steer kind of built into it, and I never liked that. So I'm glad the B6-4 is cured of all that. I will say that's one thing about the Losi car. So I'll get to these last comments here real quick, but I do want to cover the Losi car a little bit. So kind of dumb, but Horizon announced that racer payout program at the start of the year, and I thought to myself, I wonder if I can get a Losi 2-wheel drive to work, because our ProTech race was on that list, and I didn't like it. I raced the Elite car on dirt 3 years ago, and because I had ran it in carpet, and I'm like, well, I'll try it on dirt. And within a month of, I missed the first round of the summer series. I decided I'm going to go back to an associated car, and I did that earlier this time. I I basically tried to get the Losi car to work for me for the entire month of March and the first part of April. And I told myself if I wasn't comfortable with the car by the time the ProTech race came, I was going to go back to my associated buggy, and that's what happened. Now here's the deal: I tried um, I tried the front end mod, which I learned how to do it. Made that video. I've had a lot of questions about it. Um, and then I also tried the 22x4 rear arms. So I had the car in complete mod form. So the mod front end, 22x4 rear arms. I pretty much took Ryan Cavallari's and Dakota Fenn's Masters of Dirt setup, and I compared the two, and there wasn't that much different. There was a little couple things here and there, and I basically chose Cavallari over Dakota Fenn because Dakota could drive a Bandit and probably make the A main. Um, Ryan Cavallari also could do that, but it would probably be easier for him to do that about 2006. Uh, Actually, when did he win? Like 2013 or whatever. I'm not dissing on him either. Please don't take that the wrong way. What I'm saying is that I feel like Ryan's cars, whenever I've driven cars with his setup on it, they always seem really easy to drive. So I pretty much did that, and the car would be really good for one heat, and then an hour later, not so good. And I remember that being the case the last time I had the Elite 5.0. And I also remember that the last time that I had the 4.0 car back in my Losi days. So I don't know what it is. I feel like the Losi car is just very, um, um, what's the word I'm trying to say because it's late. Uh, for me, because my son's killing it with his, and I'll get to that here in a minute. But I feel like um, if the track changes slightly, I think the car changes even more. Whereas this car, I don't know. If the track changes, I feel like it doesn't um, it doesn't change so much along with it. I'm trying to find the word, and I'm having trouble finding the word. Sorry, guys. I know it's late. Anyways, uh, so my son's telling me, dude, you need to put the car back in stock form because Emerson was running just the DC roller car with a ball diff in it, and his shock packages and stuff like that. He's out there slaying it, and so um, I didn't want to give up on the mod front end because I bought those Vision Racing hubs, but I did put the old arms back on, and the car did get better, right? So that started to make me think. Um, but it was too close to the ProTech race for me to just kind of go back to square one. So I ended up giving the car to my son. I said, "Here, you take this. You give me your old car. I'll recycle that. I actually ended up selling it to one of our plexers, so that they could have a buggy to run um, now. And Emerson took his car, and Emerson took my car, and put everything back to stock. So stock front end, stock rear end, and he's out there slaying it. And the car looks really good. So I'm not doubting my decision not to run that at the ProTech race because maybe I should have just left it alone out of the box and just ran it and been happy. But I wanted to try some of the new stuff that was out there. So, but this car, like I said, this weekend was probably the best that it had been ever, like ever. So I'm really happy that I made the decision to go back to this. Now, that being said, the 22X4, in my opinion, by far the best four-wheel drive out there. That thing is kit other than the associated springs. So I'm running associated yellows in the front, associated blues in the back for springs in my 4-wheel drive, and it's when I drive it, I feel like I'm cheating. So go figure. Um, Definitely the best 4-wheel drive car on the market. I can't wait till Losi comes out with a new 2-wheel drive that's kind of hopefully has some sort of quick change rear end, so it doesn't take all day to change out a ball diff when it goes bad. I think that was another part of my problem was the last club race. I think the ball diff finally gave out. I was pretty frustrated because I knew that I couldn't just swap it out because I had to take apart the whole rear end and I'm running races, so I don't have time for that. So that's anyways, there's that. So I don't know. I don't know what to think about that mod front end. I want Emerson to put those Vision Racing hubs on his car and but not have the modded front end on. I want to see if just what he thinks of the hubs in general, because you can use them on the old front end if you want. All right, back to comments. Daniel Bender says, my car is horrible, but I've been working hard on it. Tomorrow's my last day of school, so I'm going to work hard this summer on my car to get them dialed. Well, I thought you did pretty good. Oh, no, you weren't there for the Summer Series race. You made the A at the ProTech race, though, dude. In 2-wheel drive. That's pretty good. I will say that every suggestion that Will Brenton has told me to do has been really good. And then also, the rear end on this car, camber link positions and stuff, that was a suggestion that Kurt Wenger had made at Hobby Action. And, you know, the first club race we had before I got my Losi car put together was March 5th. And I had pulled this thing off the shelf from Hobby Action. I hadn't touched it yet. And I went out there and drove on our beat up 8-scale track. And I remember I TQ'd that round of 2-wheel drive, or I TQ'd the day in 2-wheel drive modified. So I knew that I was already going to be a good start to the year. And then I totally went different direction for about a month and a half, trying to get my Losi car to work. So go figure. Jackson, are you using the B63 shock springs on the 13 millimeter shocks? I am not. That's something that some guys have been doing. I think it was 12 millimeter grays in the back. I tried it and I can't remember why I didn't like it, but I took them off and I put the 13s back on and the car felt better. So I can't explain why. I can't explain why there would be a difference other than the smaller springs might rub, maybe. I don't know. But no, I got 13s on there all the way around. Chris Arson, you'll be proud of me. I picked up a Losi Mini B roller, dropped in a Reefs 99 Hobby Wing 7600 Mamba X. That's pretty awesome. Yeah, so I've been eBaying some of my old stuff, and I was tempted for a split second to eBay my Mini B, but no, my Mini B's awesome, and every single time that I've broken apart on that can be replaced by something that's metal other than A-arms. You don't want to do that, but like my car should be pretty tough now because I've got aluminum rear hubs, aluminum front spin hubs. I've got the aluminum front bulkhead, the aluminum front brace, aluminum rear arm supports, aluminum camber block. So I mean, like everything over the last like year and a half, everything that I've broken on that, I've replaced it with metal, and it's gotten pretty dialed. So yeah, I was tempted to, but I'm not. But I have sort of not raced on Tuesday nights, just because it's our crawling night. So I've been real busy with making the crawler courses awesome, and then having fun with the guys on the crawler course. And that's something I don't have. I even have here right now. My 2 crawlers are at the Plex. because I left them in the drawer because we crawl every Tuesday. So that's another thing that we've been doing, staying busy. So I need to finish my Axial Pro video with just finishing out, just showing everything that I've done to it since I built it, the electronics I'm running, and then I've got about 8 minutes of footage of driving. So eventually I'll get that done. I need to get that done. Anyways, but yeah, I just saw the picture. Mini Bs are awesome, dude. I just pulled mine out and slapped dirt tires on it and won the Pro Tech Race Mini Melee that we have. So I'm officially retired from doing that, by the way. Normally I wouldn't even join those, and like, because it was for money. So we had a raffle for a car, and we split up all the winnings between all the Dash for Cashes that we do. And I was like, man, if I win this, is that slimy? I don't know. But I'm like, the previous 2 years, I've I thought I could have or should have won, and the previous 2 years something dumb has happened. So I think one year my battery came unplugged, and then another year like I just crashed in the dumbest spot possible. So I had to race this one, and I won it, and now I'm done. I'm not gonna do that anymore. So next year, no Alex in Mini Melee. Maybe Emerson though. We'll see. We'll see what he does. All right, moving on. Bender says my cars are super loose for some reason. I think a lot of it is the shock springs and two-wheel drive. Well, what springs are you running? That's that is, what is this? Uh-oh. Uh-oh. Well, I'm gonna have to go because something weird is happening with one of my accounts. So, um, yeah, if I miss any questions or anything like that, you guys let me know, and we'll shoot. This sucks. Um, well, there we go. I just turned my card off, so that's not good. Well, that's a bummer. That's really weird. Yeah, I think my card just got hacked, like right now. So that's kind of scary. Um, I'll try to get through this. Is anyone running Proline tires? I mean, we've sold some, but yeah, I don't know. Um, I bought a bunch of Proline Bald Eagles for the store just so we had some slicks that we know that work. So there's that. Um, Jackson wants to know what sauce are we using on Silver Slicks. A lot of us are using TDK2. There's some guys using SXT Baja. Some guys are using Sticky Kicks Gold, I think. and then there's um, um, there's this new stuff from Gravity RC that I think we're gonna try to get. So um, I'm having trouble thinking because I have to get a hold of my bank. So anyway, so guys, thanks for tuning in. Sorry I didn't even really dig into this car, but I kind of got what I wanted to get done with it tonight. I kind of went over some setup stuff on it so I could sort of remember it for later. So hopefully you guys um, see you at the track, or if not, just thanks for tuning in. I'm sorry that it's been a long time since we've done one of these, but I'm glad we're able to get on when we can. So that's gonna do it. I didn't even touch my tools tonight. I just talked the whole time. All right, I gotta go. Seriously, I gotta go. I gotta talk to my bank. So Super Chips will be live on two channels, 918 Outlaws and NPRC Live. So that's awesome. And yeah, I'll be tuning into that a little bit. It's pretty fun to watch. I'll be looking for you for sure. Jackson, we do sell TDK Gen 2. I try not to run out of that stuff. They've been really good about keeping it stocked up. So, anyways, thanks, guys. I got to go. Have a good one.